This is Mona Lisa Baseball.
Ooh, we didn't discuss the umpire union that I think is a big problem with baseball also. That's
Tell me about it.
Robots, because all those people are ancient. That union being so strong, it should be...
You can't fire Ángel Hernandez.
You can fire the players. They're in a system where if you're bad at something, then you're out immediately, and that's all it is. And umpires not being something similar to that is a huge problem with baseball also, I think. They're super protected where they're super bad at it. And it's like, well, you still have to, Ángel Hernández is still calling strikes 2 feet out of the zone.
Right, and that's the reason we're going to get the robot umpire. I mean, we've got a reason for all these changes. The reason for the designated runner, more stolen bases. The reason for the all-batting team, more home runs.
Like, I'm there with you on the fear that that's where they're headed. I'm also scared of it as someone that's still trying to hold on to, like, a desperate hope that eventually this era of changing all the rules reaches a plateau. Mm-hmm. I'm also hoping so, I guess.
Do you guys want to take bets on whether the A's will move to Vegas or that they'll force Fisher to sell?
Bro, they already announced they're moving to Vegas.
Yeah, but so did you read also in the announcement to Vegas that comes with like at least $500 million of public funding that no one in Vegas has agreed to yet? They haven't even talked to him about it. The A's are literally just pulling some shit out of their ass, trying to get like some other stuff. Like it's kind of getting to the point where MLB is going to put a deadline on Fisher because Vegas, it's like, no, dude, we just gave fucking a bunch of money to the Raiders to do this stuff. And I guess Mark Davis has come out and been like, I'm going to fight against the A's because they fucked me over in Oakland. So there's a solid chance that Vegas may not actually happen at all. And, they just be mired in destitute for fucking another year or two, then they'll be forced to sell.
But they're not going to spend billions building that stadium and then not fill it with a team.
Well, that's what I mean. It's just like, where are they going to get the money? They're not going to. It was a pretend announcement just to like drum up
about a plot.
They announced that there's going to be a plot, but as part of paying for that plot, they have to come up with at least $500, maybe like $700 million taxpayer money, and they haven't even spoken to a single politician about that yet. They just announced that they're going to get that.
There's no money in Vegas, so that's going to be hard.
Fisher isn't willing to spend any of his own money. Like part of the thing that held up the Howard Bay terminal thing, like you know how the Giants they're building on these condos and shit now, like 20 years after. A year after they paid everything off, they started doing all this development stuff. Fisher wanted it to happen immediately, not pay for it, have the public pay for it, and then get all the revenue from it immediately. And like that's what he was fighting for. And
sounds like a businessman.
Do you honestly think he's going to go to Vegas and pull that same fucking bullshit? And then if stuff isn't going down, he's like, well, I'm not paying for this. Someone else is. And like, yo, you have to foot the fucking bill if you want some of these stadiums done. And he's just not willing to do any of it. And so I honestly don't think he's going to get shit done in Vegas.
That's a fresh take. I haven't heard yet.
I love this.
You're coming to the hot takes. This is good.
You guys are on fire right now.
All right, let's get down to real brass tacks here with the future. All right, umpires or robots?
Robots.
What you got?
Umpires all day, dude. As a former umpire and someone that also likes to yell at umpires, that's like the one. It's part of the game. It's part of the fabric of the game.
It's like what we talked about where the replay rules being instantaneous.
I wanted to get back
Instant
to that.
replay needs to be instant.
And just helping the umpires do the right thing immediately is the best form of pro baseball, where there's umpires there and they're making a call. If they're not sure, kind of like when the home plate umpire isn't quite sure about a check swing and he looks to first base, he can also just consult the robot.
Yeah, it's immediate, just boom. Safe or out.
He consults, even on balls and strikes. He was like, well, I'm not sure. I blinked or like I coughed or something.
Consult the robot.
Let me look at my super high tech.
Like he's got a digital readout like Iron Man, and it just flashes green, right?
I'm so in sync with you guys right now. Yeah, exactly.
That's the best. Getting rid of them altogether, and also like I said,
Iron Man umpire.
Yeah. He's back. He's not fighting crime. He's calling balls and strikes.
Can he get the armor so that he's protected? Those guys need more armor back there.
Yeah. I would assume if you got the helmet, you also get the armor.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Their union's still going to be real strong.
Is he still calling games? Are you guys serious?
Who?
Angel. On hell.
Oh, yeah, dude. He's still calling games.
Oh, my.
There was from this season. on one of the baseball things I follow on Instagram, they did like a jokingly like, fuck it, Angel Hernandez highlights. And it just showed some of the strike just from behind the plate, like just 2 of his games this year. And some of the strike calls, and there's like, dude, he rung this guy up on like some, I swear to God, it was like a lefty slider to a left-handed batter, and it was, shit you not, 2 feet outside. The catcher slid over to get it. And he's like, strike 3. And the batter's like looking around like, what, are you talking to me?
If Angel was a real man, he would have retired a couple years ago, because obviously it's like, how much is your pride worth? You're literally, he's a meme. He's a fucking meme.
I know.
And he's like, nope, I'm going to keep doing it.
Oh, he is.
Nope, you can't make me retire.
There's whole social media accounts that are successful, just like dedicated to Angel Hernandez.
Sucking. Yes,
like,
I know.
All of those people can go and say mean things in the comments.
Yeah, because negativity sells. Everyone knows that. You know, we have really unpopular opinions. We talk to people. They're like, oh, yeah, I like the faster game. Oh, okay.
I think it's understated how unpopular it is. I think that the people in like the media, the mainstream media, they have to.
MLB's paying them, by the way, to run these stories. By the way.
Somebody's paying them to promote the thing.
Yeah.
We're already steps closer to being okay with it than you guys are. And all we are is emotionally invested. Nobody's paying us. We're actually paying them to keep watching.
Yeah.
You guys both do fantasy, right?
No. I don't. A non-9 does.
The reason I mention it is that when you build a fantasy team, you understand the details of building a roster. Talking about the extended roster and salaries.
Yeah.
You could take on 10 guys at the league minimum. It's not really going to affect anything. You might just sign a pitcher who's got a little bit less.
It's not that they don't have the money. It's that at every turn, so many of these dudes are just making business moves where they're trying to save money and make more money, that they're going to keep doing that.
In their mind, they're going to make the rule change because they think it's going to make the TV contract more valuable. That's why they want the designated runner. They want it to be like football with the all defensive team, the all offensive team. Like, so in their mindset, they're like, I'm going to pay this guy the minimum, but I'm going to get more from the TV contract. And earlier, you guys also said that there's no league sharing in the money.
The other sports, they make most of it on the national TV revenue. Like it's almost all of like TV stuff. Whereas in baseball, like Sunday Night Baseball is not what makes them their money. In the TV side, it's the individual like NBC Sports Bay Area for the Giants. It's not them being on ESPN or whatever. That's more what I was saying. Obviously, all that money shared and everything. If most of the money in baseball was in national stuff, like all the other sports, like all the other sports mostly tied to like the national TV revenue, especially in like the basketball and football. I mean, obviously football, it's all national.
Yeah, it's a regional sport.
Yeah, but it's like regional. And so, I mean, I can see why they're trying to do some of this stuff, because I think they want to go to it being more of a national thing than a regional.
They want to be on YouTube like the NFL did.
Yeah, exactly.
Really? I didn't know that.
They're trying to sell it nationally. They're trying to have, they're having Yankee players walk out of corn stalks.
I like that.
Dude, what do you guys think about the Field of Dreams game?
I know that they played one a couple years ago. Is that something that happens every year?
There were 2. There's not going to be one this year because of construction.
Yeah, I mean, the concept is amazing. I'm all for it. I loved it when hockey decided to play an outdoor game. I love that stuff.
How about the Mexico City game that the Giants just played in?
I heard it was epic. I don't know anything about it, though.
In the first game, there was like 25, 30 runs.
Some thin air up there.
And
11 homers or something.
Yeah.
Like, it's definitely different than the NFL going to London. And, you know, it's like baseball is already obviously popular in Mexico. So, you know, you're going to be able to sell out, but the stadium also looked really small. Did you guys?
It's small and at 10,000 feet.
I did watch it.
Yeah, it's like, it's super small, but it looked like a really fun time.
I thought it was great. Those are the 2 most popular teams down there. They put on a show. I watched most of that first game, and it was just like, and it's gone. So yeah,
the first game was so cool.
We like had it on in the background, and we kept turning around and looking back, and it was like, whoa, someone's rounding the bases again. Like, Jesus.
I remember seeing a guy hit a ball. I'm like, oh, there's a pop up. I looked down to take a drink of my beer. I looked up, and it was out of the park.
Yeah, I think I did the same thing. Like, no way.
And it's gone.
Even the announcer was just like can of corn, and they're like, nope, it sailed on out.
She gone.
Oh, I got to start in Mexico. I'm a starting pitcher, right? It's like, oh, I got to start. Hey, my elbow's sore. I think I need to. I don't know, boss.
You see Logan Webb to start. He was like 3/4 of the team has the hits. We were just eating Mexican food the whole time.
You know, what other sport exists where you get diarrhea and you just keep playing? I don't know.
Yeah, it's just like, no, I feel like
I think in basketball, they'd sub you out. I think in football, they definitely sub you out. In baseball, it's like, well, if I sub you out, there's a real big cost associated with that. So you're going to have to go up there with them brown pants.
Logan Webb just went out and did 7 2/3 innings, 2 runs. He's like, yeah, I had the shits the whole time, running down my legs, whatever.
Toughness. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, our starting pitcher got nailed by a pitch early in the game. It bounced off of his shin so hard it like went into the opposing dugout.
Ooh.
And he's like, yeah, I'm going to finish the game. I mean, he didn't have the best performance again. Neither starting pitcher did, but he stayed in the game after that. I thought that was pretty cool.
That's badass.
Yeah, Roberto Clemente did that to Bob Gibson, and Gibson did the same thing. He's like, I'm not coming out. It's like, your leg is broken. Like, fuck you guys.
There's a clip on Instagram I saw recently of Albert Belle getting pegged in like the mid-90s, and he just stood there and was just like, no, hit the bat. It was a foul ball. Hit the bat. I'm staying.
Nope. Not going anywhere.
Not going anywhere.
Didn't hit me.
Make that motherfucker go throw me another pitch.
Didn't hit me.
Oh.
That's a clear sign of roiding, folks. Nope. Didn't hurt. Don't care.
Didn't hurt. Don't care. I'm going to mash this baseball so hard.
And I cork my bat. He's still the only person I've ever heard of, at least in my generation, to go 50 homers, 50 doubles in a season. That's banging.
Okay. Last year, they suspended the automatic second base runner in the extra innings for the playoffs.
Wow.
And, interesting side note, A1 asked me early in the season, do you think they'll do that? Do you think they'll exactly what they did? And I was like, probably not. But I was wrong. They actually did suspend that rule for the playoffs.
Do you know, is that set in stone for this year?
They can change it, yeah.
They revoked the rule last year
for the playoffs,
right?
I remember Kruko talking to this morning Murph and Mac thing at the beginning of the year that they were lamenting that they're not taking that out in the playoffs. I know I was listening to them a couple times and they were talking about some of the rule changes.
They're putting it back in?
Well, no, they're just leaving it in. They're not taking it out for the playoffs.
Once the playoffs are. That's stupid. I think it makes plenty of sense for a couple rules to change between the regular season and the playoffs like that, where you're not having, 15, 16 inning games during the regular season, but in the playoffs, you absolutely are. It's kind of like hockey does that, and it makes all the sense.
This just blows my mind because if this is a playoff game, we're talking about the playoffs. We should want them to go 16 innings. That should be the best game ever. The TV should want to carry it because people will still be watching it. I don't understand why we don't want the best part of the sport to be as long as possible. You're right.
Yeah.
That I get.
Hockey did it in the playoffs. They suspended the shootout rule, right? You play another period.
Yeah.
Here's what we've been saying, though. This is really key, and this is what I fear the most. This situation in playoffs where the announcer goes, okay, 3-2. And we're talking about, say, 9th inning, 11th inning, and everything is way slow, and there's 40 seconds in between pitches. Couldn't be further on the edge of your seat. Every pitch means the most, and he fouls off another one. You're like, oh, my God. This is exhausting. Like, I'm so tense. The thought of giving that up is really spooky to me, and I wonder if baseball agrees with me how important that is to have.
I'm curious to see how these playoffs are going to go with the clock. I think it's an okay thing. I'm only okay with it kind of for the regular season. For the playoffs, when
my team was in it the amount of time in between pitches, I never left the edge of my seat. Like, I enjoyed that there was time where I could go like to the bathroom or go get another beer, or just like take a minute to myself to like gather my emotions, catch my breath. Oh, okay, here comes the next pitch, and that's going to be weird when like my team's in it. It's difficult to really gauge how that's going to feel like when you're just watching other teams.
Yeah, when you're just watching like the Twins and the fucking Rangers, am I going to care? Probably not.
But that's the type of fan that they're aiming for with the rule change, because they want bigger mass of people. So they're not looking for like the diehard fan that's freaking out about their team in the playoffs. They want the random person tuning in to watch playoff games.
Yeah. Random sports fan. He got excited because he saw Thing on Sports Center.
Baseball has to go forever until it's just decided by baseball. You can't put a runner on second base in the playoffs, though. We're dead aligned on all that. Just like how hockey does it. If it takes 3 entire hockey games, you have to win at hockey. in order to win a playoff game. And that should be how baseball does it too. And they haven't ruined that yet. It is kind of just more commercials. I don't know. Maybe it makes sense from a business perspective.
Yeah.
Last year, this time, we did not know that they were going to suspend the automatic runner rule in the playoffs. That was announced later. So there is a precedent set that some of these rules may be suspended for the playoffs. We just don't know yet. I understand that they have committed to saying, hey, we want to keep the automatic runner during the playoffs, and that probably will be the case. But the door is open for some of these rules to be suspended. I don't know if the league sees that as a sign of weakness these days, though. Maybe they would do it just because they're stubborn.
Yeah, they might.
I don't think Rob Manfred cares about looking weak. He just already is. It's a regular thing for him. So, it's like, oh, am I going to look more than normal?
Ah, shucks. Profits are up.
I think it's a scary time because they're doing all these crazy changes. But I'm hopeful that there's going to be a plateau where it ends before it gets to the point in like that Futurama episode where they did this joke where it was like the baseball was on like a big string or something and they hit it. And it was like, no, you're talking about the rules before steroids were required. There has to be a point before it gets to that. I'm hoping.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Let me throw a hypothetical question. If you had to put your life on the line, you got to answer this correctly. Will there be a new rule next year? What would you say?
A new rule next year.
Your life is at stake. You will be killed.
You have
if
to
you're
say
wrong.
the right answer here.
No, it's not.
No, I don't think there'll be a new rule.
2 no's.
I think if anything,
You guys are delusional. There'll be 7 new rules next year.
I think they have an idea of what they want to do, and they probably have a plan set out already when these rules are going to roll out. And implementing a couple new rules, they're probably going to give the league a year or two to acclimatize to those before they implement a new one. It's not a terrible bet to think that we won't see another one for a couple years.
Oh, it's an important bet.
I think they know what they're doing, even if what they're doing is ruining baseball. They have a timeline of exactly how they're going to ruin it over like the course of this however many years.
That was amazing.
Yeah. In the next negotiation with the players will want new things.
Yes.
And we're not going to agree with most of them, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. They know what they want to do. They're rolling it out now, and they're seeing what's going to happen, and maybe they'll make amend to like whatever needs a little tweak here and there. And then they'll roll out the next stuff like later on. I think there's
slight grace period, perhaps.
Every new rule gets tested in the lesser leagues, in the Atlantic League or in the Cactus League, right? They always test them first, and right now they're testing designated runner.
Yeah.
Changes to the DH.
Yeah.
And they're testing the automatic balls and strikes system.
automatic balls and strikes is the main
They're
one.
going to happen.
Wow, you're saying next year.
2024. I think I saw reports.
ABS, Truckman, Hawkeye, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, the automatic balls and strikes.
2024. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So
Well, shit, that's next year.
that's going to be a big change.
Yeah.
That'll change. Yeah, the umpire union.
No. You guys get to be here. We're just going to pay you less, and you don't make any decisions.
No, their role will be reduced until there's none of them
I
left.
have an issue with paying less.
Yeah.
I'd love to make less decisions. It's the less pay.
Angel Hernandez would love to make fewer decisions.
Yeah.
Can I just do my little dance and you guys stop complaining that I'm getting the call wrong?
You know what's funny is your dad called me after he listened to maybe 1 or 2 of the episodes, and the main thing he talked about was Angel Hernandez.
He's the poster child of
bad umpiring, yeah. Angel, retire, please.
Yeah.
Seriously, get out of here.
You should have retired 3 years ago. Like, you're a meme. Retire.
I know your pension is good. Get the fuck out of here.
The NBA has a grading for, and I'm sure the MLB does too.
They do, but it's all super lenient. And so Angel Hernandez grades out like a 95% on all of his success rates because it's just like they count their balls and strikes within 2 inches of the black. And so as long as they're within 2 inches of the black, they'll still give it like, oh yeah, it's still good. And it's like, yeah, but that's not a fucking strike.
The NBA is a lot more harsh on like their referees.
Yep.
They have a grading system where if they get in a fight with a player, Tony Brothers got caught like on national TV calling a player on the Nets. I forget which one.
Oh, no.
He shouted a curse word at him, and his emotions boiled to the top. And he didn't ref a Nets game until the entire season. I think he did get a playoff game, but he is one of the premier refs in that league.
What's the most difficult game to officiate? What do you guys think?
Most difficult?
Football.
It's not baseball. Baseball's the easiest.
Yeah.
Basketball's super
Basketball's
Yeah.
super
It's
hard.
really hard. Those guys are all super good athletes.
Football's impossible.
Football's
Like, especially on the line of scrimmage, it's just like, well, am I going to call holding today or no? How do I feel?
Football's probably the hardest. It's the most amount of guys doing the most amount of different shit. And there's 3 or 4 refs. In basketball, there's less guys. The math's pretty simple there. And there's the same amount of refs. And so, like, that's why there's a million holdings on every football play. It's only called sometimes. Baseball's the easiest. I was put in charge of calling balls and strikes at just unreasonably low age. I was so young.
I was 12-year-old umpiring 10-year-olds.
Yeah. It was irresponsible that I was putting in umpire pads and put out. It was a double-A game. Like, the kids were the kids were way younger, but like the coaches would yell at me, and I had no idea how to deal with that. I didn't have the nuts to like throw them out of the game or anything. It was bananas. There was this one time I missed actually got the call right. This kid was safe, even though the kid in double-A made it like a rad pick. It was sick. And that never happened at first. The first baseman picked the shit out of this ball out of the dirt, and I was the first base and I'm like, well, he's safe, because he was dead safe. And the home plate ump came up to me, and I'm just like terrified. And he's like, you have to call a pick. And I'm like, all right, well, then we're changing the call. Whatever, dude. Like, I'm just a scared little kid, super anxious that all of these parents are looking at me and this other ump, and we're like, what's the call? And I'm like, I immediately give in. I'm not like, no, yeah, but he was safe as fuck. Like, he got there. I'm just like, all right, if you're gonna force this situation,
Everything's political. Yeah, welcome to real life, Junior.
Yeah, I was super underqualified, and I'm just nailing calls.
The other guy was not qualified to trust you. Look, here's the thing. Baseball, we agree, it's the easiest sport to officiate. And that's why it's going to be the first sport to be automated officially. Like, this is going to happen. And we can hope, wish, and pray, but no, it's happening. And we're going to see it first in baseball. There's going to be drones flying around that can get out of the way immediately. The umpire, he's a liability back there. We're just going to replace him with some cameras.
And I understand why they have to be protected largely as like an employee. When they make a bad call, you can't lean into them and destroy them like the media does a lot with players.
Professional wrestling has proved that it's fine to yell at people. America actually wants people to yell and boo at the ump. The problem is Ángel Hernández calling these black zone strikes. That's the problem, right? And then gamblers being like, oh, God, I just lost a bunch of money on a game that I should have won. Or people who are coming up in the sport who are emotionally invested in a team like you and me are with the Giants, and then your season ends on a bullshit check swing call, right? That's the force that wants robots to call these things correctly.
Yeah, but they want those things, but I'm not hearing anyone talk about what the repercussions of that is. And it gets pretty serious when you pull humanity out of the game. And I think the big risk right now is if we're going to cater the sport to television, I think people are going to go to less games. And if people go to less games, it becomes less interesting on TV when they're not sellouts.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
Umpiring in the majors being more of a meritocracy would be so much better. I don't know that it would fix it because of this wave to make all these changes towards, when there's new technology available, like pitchers and catchers, they're not doing finger signs anymore. That's gone. And that's something that changed because that technology is available now and people were stealing signs.
PitchCom.
Yeah, they're now touching a little button.
When guys are on base.
Pitchers are calling the games now.
The catcher's doing their fingers. Well, and it's also the catcher can call it and the pitcher can just try to be in the zone. That's between the two of them. The catcher can still be like, this is the pitch we're doing. If it's Buster Posey and like a new pitcher, this is the pitch we're doing. And the pitcher gets to just be in the zone and have a blank mind and be like, okay, I'm going to do whatever that catcher says. Or if you're like a veteran pitcher, you also, if you've discussed it with your catcher, you can call all the stuff instead of waving off. And that's nice. I do kind of miss a catcher doing the dumb finger signs just because, like, that's a part of baseball that was such a fun thing, was that nonverbal communication that you have to all get really excellent at. That was like a thing that the whole team could kind of be involved in.
Yeah, no one even thought that would go away. It never dawned on anyone.
Yeah, that's not a rule. That's just a...
Well, it's like a technological allowance.
Yeah. They couldn't stop that from happening.
You know who's really sore about this change is the guys who make the glow-in-the-day nail stickers for the catchers. Those guys, they went out of business overnight.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. They had a good run. They had a couple of years. Crazy changes.
Nope, it sailed on out.
What's the call?
I don't know, boss.
Nope, not going anywhere.
Oh, okay, here comes the next pitch.
Really spooky to me.
Baseball has to go forever until it's just decided by baseball.